Hey guys, this is Anthony Romrell, and in this video, we're going to use ScriptableObjects to help us build a health bar. So we're going to start by taking this little spiky ball object, and I'm just going to temporarily turn off our animator for a minute. And I'm not going to call any animations events anymore. So if you have one, just remove it, or leave it, or you can keep it. It's fine. I'm going to just focus on. I'm going to also stop emitting particles. So I'm just going to minus that. And what I'm going to do in its place is I'm going to go to our next unit right here, ScriptableObjects. And inside of it, I have several scriptable objects. And I do believe I have one called health. There it is, player health. And it's currently set at a value of 1. And this is a float data object. You could use or we could just use a simple float data object for now. Let's just use that. So we're going to go to create. And we're going to go to what we have. Let's see if I can find it. Shows single variables, and I should have a simple float data. There it is, simple float data. And we're going to name this. Let's just name this one health, or player health, or whatever we need it to be. Then let's set its default value to a 1. So our health value is going to go between a 1 and a 0, and that's because an image component can go between a 1 and a 0. Then we're going to create a UI element. So we're going to right-click it on our screen. I'm going to go to UI, and we're going to create an image. And it's going to give us this big white image, which is not what we want. And we're going to configure it. So let's just name this health bar, right? Health bar. Excellent. And then we're going to say, you know what? We're going to snap this to the top left. And we're also going to change our display type from free aspect to something like 16 by 9. Okay. And then we're going to say that our position on this, we're just going to put this at 0 and 0. Okay. Position XYZ. All at 0. That's going to put this at this very top corner. And then we're not going to change its scale. We're going to leave it. But we're going to say that its width is something like 200. Okay. And its height is something like 20. Maybe a little wider. Let's say 300. And then we're going to say that its position in X is just a little bit further. Oh, it's too wide. Let's take that back down to 200. And let's say that its position, let's have a look at it. If we double click this object, there it is. It's way off screen. Okay. And the UI is going to work kind of funny, you guys. You'll just have to kind of get used to its weirdness, right? So its position in X, let's just change this to something like 50. Okay. Maybe 100. Maybe 110. Let's do that. Great. And then we want to go below. So let's change that so it's height divided. So it's going to be, let's do 20. Oh, wrong way. So negative 20 will do. Excellent. So this is 10 pixels away from this edge on both sides. Okay. That's why it's 110 with the width, the way it is. And then we're going to go down to our image fill. And we need a sprite here in order for this to do a fill. So if we click on this little button, we should have a pop-up here. And we should be able to have a square sprite. Let's just see if we have one. So there it is. There's a square sprite. If you don't have a square sprite, you can always right click and just go to sprites and make one. So you can say create sprites. Maybe it's 2D sprites. You know, they just keep rearranging things on me. Anyway, it's 2D sprites. I didn't see it in the menu. So you know what? We probably have to do this. You probably have to go to the package manager and install it. So let's just do that. So let's go to our package manager, which is going to pop up off screen. Just drag this. There we go. And in the Unity registry, we should have 2D packages. And under our 2D packages, we should have 2D sprite and 2D shape. Yeah, all of mine are installed. I'm not sure why it didn't show up. So it's okay. If you don't see it, make sure those are installed. Okay, now, so we already have a square. And let's go back to that health bar. And we got our square. Now that we have our square, we're going to keep our image type as simple, but then we're going to say, not simple, we're going to change it to filled. And we're going to fill it, it's default to radial, which is really dumb, horizontal, right? And then you can see from left to right, 0 is, there's no fill, and 1 is 100% fill, and that's going to give us our health, right? Kind of built in there, which is really cool. We're going to add a component to this image. We're going to just start to type in the word image, and you should see simple image behavior. Right there it is, simple image behavior. Excellent. That's going to come into play a little later. And what we're going to do, let's also color this green. So let's click on this color. Of course, it pops up off screen. The magic of having 2 screens, you guys. So let's make this green so we have, it's nice and healthy. Okay, now that cherry's in the way, so let's see if we can't find this cherry here. I'm going to double click on the character, go to my hand, let's just zoom out. There's the cherry. So that cherry's in the way now. So we'll go to my move tool, just move that back in the way. And we'll use this cherry later, right? So we'll use the spiky ball to power us down, and the cherry to power us up as far as health goes. Okay, now what we're going to do next is we're going to say, we're going to click on that spiky ball, right? Which is, okay, there's our spiky ball. And we're going to go to our trigger, and we're going to say when we trigger into this, what we're going to do is 2 things. First of all, we're going to take our health scriptable object, we're going to drag it there, and we're going to go from no function to simple float data to update value, and we're going to set it to an update value of, we're going to minus 0.1. Okay, minus 0.1. And then we're going to hit the plus bar again, and we're going to drag that health bar to it. Okay, and do that one more time, health bar. And then we're going to say we're going to change the simple image behavior. And what we're going to do is say, update with float data. Okay. And then we're going to do one more little thing with that simple image behavior. We should associate this with a float data. So this image behavior here, update with float data, that didn't read properly. I'm going to have a little look at that script. Come right back. Okay, I had a look at my script, and we're just going to double click this script right here. So you can double click this word to open it, or you can just do a search for simple image behavior right down here. Just come on here and do a search for simple image behavior, open it back up. Now we got to change one word right here. See, it says private right there. We need to change actually 2 things on here. So we need to change this word to public, and we need to change this from float data to simple float data. So we'll just double select this whole thing and write simple. Then we need to change one more word. That needs to be a lowercase v, right? Sorry, we have to mod this script. I apologize for that. It just kind of happens, right? You know, I write lots of code, and I think I have it right. So I just have to do a little bit of a mod there. Okay, so make sure you save that file. Remember the 3 things you changed. This is public. This is now simple float data, and this is a lowercase v. Those are the 3 changes you've got to make. I said 1, you had to make 3. Okay, now we'll come on in here and you'll see there's now a slot in our simple image behavior. So for a simple float data, and the one we're going to use, if we go back to where we put it, I put mine in the scriptable objects folder. It's this health. So we're going to put the health there with this simple image behavior. Okay, so let's go back and check our config on this. So if we go to that little object right here, this little guy, this spiky ball, is what it's doing is it is taking a health object, it is subtracting 0.1, and then it is taking this health bar and it is calling its update with float data behavior. And so when we push play, what we should be getting is we should be able to run on over and jump. And you can see every time we make contact with that object now, we lose health. And I don't know why those get blasted away. Okay, now what we want to do next is see that little cherry. You don't have a cherry, so the next step we're going to do is create another object, right? So you already have an object. If you don't have an object, you can create one. I have a little cherry right there. And we're going to do the exact same thing, right? So we're going to find that power up object, which is that cherry. It's right there. And it should already have a simple trigger event behavior, and it does. And we're just going to add to its list 2 things. And what we're going to do is we are going to call health. So we're going to say our health, and we're going to say simple float data. We're going to say update the value, and we're going to update it with 0.1. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that little health bar and we're going to add to it. We're going to say simple image behavior update with float data. And that's already configured, right? If we go back to the health bar, it is going to be updating it with the health. And so now what we have is this object is going to subtract health. This object is going to add health. So let's push play, give it a little test. And you could see we just write power up and power down systems simply by, oh, I blocked myself. That's hilarious. Simply by, oh, that took our health away. Oh, it added. You know what happened is we already had poor health. So we have one more little fix to make, right? And that is to update our health on the start. So we're going to do that by just going to this health bar, and we should have, let's see what we got with this simple image behavior. We don't have much. That's okay. We're going to add, let's go to our player, see what we've got on our player. Character mover, no function calls there. That's okay. We're going to go to our player health, and we're going to add one more little script to it. So we're going to say add component. Let's add a mono events behavior, mono event. Let's just go with mono event. And it should have an awake event. Good, it does. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our health and we're going to start our game. We're going to say simple float data set value. And every time we start our game, we're going to set our value to a default of 1. Okay, so our health bar is now going to get a mono event behavior. On the awake function, we're going to update our health scriptable object, and which is a simple float data. And we're going to just say set the value to 1. Little change. Now that this image will update correctly. So, I mean, first we've got to take away health, right? So let's take away health a few times. Then we can come on over to that cherry, update health, right? Now it's going to go past 1 if you're asking. So if you come back here, it might take us a minute, right? Because we're beyond 1. Right, there we go. Now we're finally below 1. So that's something we got to work on. That's with some more advanced scripts. But, you know, for the most part, now what you have is a way to decrease your health. We don't die yet. We'll have to work on dying. And increase your health with a scriptable object and all the same trigger events and mono events that we've been using.